Welcome back to another Now It's Debatable. We took a week off, but we are back, black and beautiful like always. So thank you guys for jumping in here. We're going to give you guys some time by introducing, or I should say introducing, but opening up the show. Everyone knows that your week doesn't get started until Now It's Debatable hits your screen. And that includes holidays like we have tomorrow. Hopefully everybody is coming to the show today with all of their fingers. All right, because a lot of people celebrated the 4th of July over last weekend. So hopefully nobody was hanging on to any fireworks, any short wicks, because you thought it was going to be really, really fun because you had too much to drink at the barbecue. So we're glad to be back with you. Thank you guys for listening to us and watching us. Shout out to everybody on YouTube. Shout out to everybody on Facebook Live. Shout out to everybody on Apple, Spotify, and all those other podcast situations that you can catch us on. We're going to jump into the show here shortly. But before we do, let me turn it over to my brother here for a little while, Mr. Deon Curry. What's good, Deon?
Happy Monday to all of our Master Debaters. I hope you guys have a wonderful 4th of July if you're celebrating. I hope you had a good weekend before that. It's not my favorite holiday. Everybody knows how I feel about this country, so it's not really that big of a deal.
Why was that necessary?
Hey, I'm still talking.
No, absolutely not necessary.
Let me finish. All right. I don't need your welcome mat to rub my dirty shoes on your favorite place in the world. No, but I hope everybody has a happy and safe 4th of July. Inevitably, somebody is going to lose a finger, and we're all going to be watching those videos and seeing the memes coming up in the days to follow. So be smart, get you a long lighter, and learn the safe distances, whatever fireworks you decide to let off tomorrow. And for the love of God, please don't post on your Instagram stories, Facebook stories, or Snapchat stories fireworks. Everybody's got the exact same fireworks display, okay? We don't need to watch it over and over again for the next 24 hours after everybody goes to the downtown fireworks display, okay? Cut that shit out.
I will say that. I do agree with that. Unless your firework display can compete with what's going on in your local downtown, no one needs to see it. All right, no one needs to see your kids with the shitty sparklers. Nobody needs to see your shitty body of rockets that you bought at the spot down at the grocery store parking lot from some guy you just met who only comes in out of town, every once in a while. Nobody needs to see it, so I agree with you. But 4th of July is hype. Speaking of 4th of July, every year my wife and I go up to Flagstaff, Arizona. We've been doing it now for the last 7 or 8 years. It started out as something that I went up there to perform with a headliner. I was featured for him. I don't like to just say this out loud, but I had a very good set. So much so that people were walking out while he was still on stage to buy my merch. And then the guys who had paid for that show ended up bringing me back to headline for their bigger show for the 4th of July. And we made such good friends, such good relationships. It's just turned into an annual thing for us. So shout out to them. Shout out to, I want to make sure I don't miss anybody here. Ryan, Brian, Jared, and Nico over at the Over Easy Cruise over there. Desiree with Oxendale Automotive. She was so great. She let us hang out with her and her crew in the VIP area this year. And so that was a great time. Our friends Keith and Beth, Justin Gross and his wife Lauren, Sam Capo of Majestic Marketplace. So shout out to all those folks. If I missed anybody, I don't know what to tell you. I'm done talking about it. But thank you guys. We appreciate it. We had a good time up there. But it's good to be back with all of you and good to see you. Folks, I see a couple of hearts. I see a couple of thumbs up. If you guys have any comments, you guys know how the show works. Throw them up. Let us know what you're feeling about the show today. Slim is in with a what up, though? So if anybody got any comments, please throw them up and let us know what's good with you. Deon.
Yes, sir.
I've been listening to a new podcast, and I hit up Deon about it, Godfrey's podcast. And I've become a fan of it, and I'm a fan of Godfrey's anyway. I think Deon and I agree because we talked about it a little bit. Godfrey's one of the smartest cats out there telling jokes. on and off stage. The guy's educated. He knows a lot about a lot, and I enjoy listening to him speak because I always feel like I pick up some different information based off the topic he's having. How about yourself, Deon? You feel the same, or?
Yeah, to me, he's a very entertaining person to listen to watch, whether it be on stage or in a podcast or just a regular interview. He's very animated. He does great impersonations, and just an overall very, very entertaining guy to watch. And when you put me onto the podcast, I watched, or I should say, I listened to it. It was, I think, 2 hours. And it flew by. So it was I encourage y'all to go check out Godfrey's podcast. He talks with all kinds of guests and has, all types of topics. But it's very entertaining, to say the least.
Super entertaining. And I would say this, and I don't say this often, if you are African American, I definitely suggest you listen to the podcast. There's a lot of topics that they touch on, a lot of, and you know what, even if you're not African American, you should listen to it. But there are a lot of things that they touch on dealing with the African American community. Some things that I'm like, man, I didn't know that. Oh, damn, I didn't know that. And so it's very good. Godfrey sometimes becomes a professor on it. Sometimes his podcast co-host Dante Nero becomes a professor on it, and it's a great back and forth. When I listened to it, I hit Deon up. I said, "These motherfuckers are doing our show." I said, if you and I had more of a spotlight on us at this point of our careers, then our podcast, I think, would be on that type of platform. But it's very similar to Not As Debatable, I think.
They don't quite do the debate that we do, but as far as the intellectual content, yes. It's very mirrored to what we do here. So shout out to those guys.
And Deon said, when I told him, I said, man, they're doing our podcast. Deon goes, oh, great. I was like, we need to reconstruct this whole thing all of a sudden. For those of you who may have forgotten, August is not with us anymore. So Deon and I are back to reading your guys' comments. Hopefully, I don't have to lose my temper again. I haven't had to here over the last few weeks because you guys have been really cool. So I appreciate you so much. Charles is in with what up, though? Matty Wood is in. What up, bro? He says, thought you was in Flag. I was. We got back earlier today. 4th of July falls on Tuesday, so I didn't want to stay all the way to Tuesday and watch a light show. Flagstaff, Arizona is not doing fireworks anymore. They're doing a laser light show, Deon. So I was not staying for the laser light show this year. I saw it last year.
Must be a lot of dog owners up there. No, the loud bangs.
I was watching it last year, and it looked like a cross between an old ColecoVision video game and a bad 80s concert with the light show. So I was like, Fake Ass Book Club.
Happy birthday, America.
Fake Ass Book Club is up in here with us. Says, hello, gentlemen. Hello, ladies.
What up, Cat and Moni?
Yeah, man. I want to tell y'all, I love all of the IG content you guys are throwing up, man. I love it. Keep it coming. I always got to stop and give it a heart or a like or whatever every chance I get. Slim says that dude is on point, very knowledgeable. Absolutely, Slim. So Slim agrees there. And Maddie says white people. Matt, I'm going to let your white face be the one to say that. All right. So the reason I brought up the Godfrey podcast because I was listening to it. And most recently they had Ali Sadiq on to talk about his special that dropped on on YouTube called Domino Effect. And he did a part 1, he did a part 2. Both of them very well done. If you're into the storytelling comedy, stand-up type of comedy, you're going to love Ali. He does a great job. And what I liked about it also was that Ali really gets emotional with it. At certain points of it, he cries real tears because he's telling these stories that are very true to his life, and they take him through a cycle of emotions, and they're going to take you as well as it took his audience through those same cycle of emotions. So very, very well done. He almost does this, almost like he's reading an autobiography, almost, Deon. You feel like. Mm-hmm. And he just takes you all the way through it, but very funny, very emotional, and very well done. So they had him on to talk about that, and they slid into this conversation a bit about ChrisRock 12 years ago during an interview, I guess, if you will, with Ricky Gervais, Jerry Seinfeld, and Louis C.K. Louis C.K. just starts dropping the N-word with the hard R. And Dante Nero was the first one to open this up. They got to talk about ChrisRock, Candace Owens, the Hodge twins. And Dante was almost trying to compare ChrisRock to those types of folks, which I don't agree with. And saying that Chris has not been invited back to the Black Barbecue for a long time because of the things that he says in his own material, but also bringing up this as an example of letting Louis C.K. use the N-word with the hard R. So I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to see what you guys thought about it. I put it up in a post so you guys can see the video we're talking about. So if you have not had a chance or don't know what the hell I'm talking about, go to our Facebook page and you'll see it right there. It's about a minute and a half. Take a quick look at it if you haven't. Deon, what were your thoughts on that conversation and on what they were trying to say about Chris?
I've always heard that, Chris has been kind of ostracized from the Black community. I've heard people, in the barbershops talk about how Chris, said some things that didn't sit right with Black people, especially Black women. A lot of people had problems with his documentary that he did, Good Hair.
Yeah.
And, kind of just exposing what Black life is like to the rest of the cultures out there. And, from a comedic perspective, I feel like you should be allowed to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about, whatever moves you to a certain type of emotion, and you try to find the funny in it. And I feel like ChrisRock is one of the best people to ever do it when it comes to his content of what he's talking about, as far as it's surgical like precision on explaining how certain things are the way they are and why they are the way that they are. It's partly what I've been trying to do with my career. He and Chappelle are the two people that I've modeled my stand-up most after. I love Chris's ability to take a current topic and expose it for what it is, the foolishness and just to define the humor and things that most people don't really think about. And then for them to say that, I understand why people were upset with him letting Louis C.K. and Ricky Gervais say the N-word. But I think in the context of that conversation, Chris was alluding to the fact that Louis C.K. behaves like the N-word. And so I think that was what the conversation was about. And so him saying it was like, yeah, that's who Louis is. Now, I've never met Louis C.K. I don't know if he's like that on or off stage, so I can't really attest to that. But Chris knows him. They've worked together for many, many years. I know he helped write Pootie Tang.
As he said that on the show.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things where, I'm going to let Chris be the ultimate judge of that, but I completely understand why people had the pushback that they had.
I don't understand why they had to push back at all. And I'm with you. There have been some Black people who have had some things to say about Chris. But as Godfrey, I think, made the comment, or no, Ali did, Dave Chappelle didn't have Black folks at first either. And you and I have talked about this before. Black people are always late to support Black people when it comes to entertainment. White people are always going to be first, 9.9 times out of 10. White people are there to support with their laughter, with their actual money, of buying merch, buying tickets, and all those different things. And so to say that Black people are not riding with someone or they didn't get there until later, that's not new news. You're not breaking any big barrier by saying that. That's just the way it is. I think it's a cultural thing. But going back to the video, to me, it seemed like Louis was doing a callback to one of Chris's jokes. And if you know Chris's material, he does this bit, Black people versus niggas. And so for me, that's where I thought Louis was going with it, as a callback to the joke, and then the conversation kind of went from there. Where Ricky came jumping in with it, I think that was just Ricky Gervais just being Ricky Gervais. But I really thought that's what Louis C.K. was doing. And the other thing also, which is why I found it odd, because Dante Nero and Ali Sadiq and Godfrey are all professional stand-ups. That was a stand-up conversation is what I took it as. Nothing more, nothing less.
It's one of those things where I often say to people, you live in America. It's a free country. You can say whatever you want. But to me, as I look at our white brethren, and my only question is, why do you want to say it? Even no matter the context in which you're saying it, the desire to say it is what I look at the character of a person. Where we had Louis C.K., Ricky Gervais, and Seinfeld. Two of those guys wanted to say it. The other one had no desire to say it, regardless of how funny he could have made it. And to me, I think that, in context of racism, that is the attitude that all people should have. Like, if you're not, you would never call another man's wife baby, right? So it's like, why are you calling, my wife baby when you don't have that rapport with her? So this conversation between Louis C.K. and Chris Rock and Ricky Gervais may be a callback to his joke, but at the same time, the cameras are on. You know the stigma of that word. So the desire to say it. Now, Louis C.K. might have been calling back Chris Rock's joke.
Yes.
But Ricky Gervais was absolutely not. He was just saying it to be saying it.
Yes.
And, watching Chris Rock not check him in that moment, like, yo, chill out. You know what I mean? Like, even if he wasn't serious, just the attempt to check him, I think, is what really rubbed most black people the wrong way. Is that he didn't even be like, yo, cool out. You know what I mean? You got to say something.
Well, look, most people who will want to comment on this, outside of the three people who kind of put this back on the forefront of my mind, are not going to be stand-ups. And if you are a stand-up, chances are you're not going to say anything to Chris Rock anyway about the fact that he didn't do it. But here's my question. The dude is on TV doing this show. Do you really expect Chris Rock to change the energy of this entire show by turning into what we've tried very hard not to be because there's such a stigma to it? You really asking Chris Rock to turn into the angry black guy? The only black guy on the set, you want to turn into the angry black guy. Not that you'd walk away thinking that he was, but those people he has to work with, some of the viewers, some of his fans may. Are we really asking him to do that?
I think the point that you're making about him being the angry black guy takes out of context why he's angry. And I think that's the most important thing when we talk about the stigma of the angry black man. It's like, does the black man have a reason to be angry in this country? And absolutely he does. And so this whole idea, oh, you're just another angry old black dude, was like, well, every angry old black dude, you gave him a reason to be the angry old black man. So to me, I despise the stigma of being the quote unquote angry black person in the room, because usually when black people are angry in public, they've had to deal with some bullshit that nobody else has had to deal with.
But you know what, Deon? I'm not saying that the angry black man does not have a reason to be angry, but that's never part of the story. And if Chris Rock got angry or was perceived to be the angry black guy at that moment, when they went to run with the story or people go to talk about the story, whether it be at the barbershop or it be in a boardroom, it would still be the angry black guy. No one will talk about the fact that he has a right, or very few people will. Maybe in the barbershop they would. I don't want to take that away. And that's with every angry black person, angry black woman, angry black man. No one ever talks about it, even if they're in the right. No one ever talks about it.
Well, I mean, if they're going to perceive you as an angry black person anyway, what difference does it make? I mean, you check them on the spot. So
I think it matters depending on what you have and where you are in your career and where you are in the world. Everyone has different things to lose. Everyone just can't take the dice and roll the dice. And this is assuming Chris didn't say anything when the cameras were off. Maybe, I don't know if he said anything. We don't know that. That's never been said. But assuming he didn't, I thought he played it right. And again, I thought Louis was doing a callback to Chris's material.
Well, take a perfect example of what happens in society is Seinfeld had every right to check both of them, and he didn't. He just said, well, that's not how I behave. But he didn't say, hey, you guys, that's not cool. He had every right. He had every right that Chris Rock had, and he didn't say anything. And to me, that becomes the question of the boardroom, right? Where you see this behavior happening, but you don't speak up. So they assume that it's cool with you. Whether it is cool with you or not is irrelevant. You're in that moment. you have the ability to say something. I liked how Seinfeld explained that I don't go looking for the funny in it. Yeah. But in that moment, he had the perfect opportunity to check Ricky and Louis C.K. Like, come on, y'all can do better.
Well, Jerry did in his own, I assume, Jerry Seinfeld way. He said, I don't think you can say that. And then Chris kind of came back and said, no, he is exactly that. Now, why Louis C.K. was laughing, because if you know the bit, this is not a compliment to you, Louis. But Louis took it and he ran with that mantle like it was the greatest thing. Carla is with us. Hello, Carla. Carla says, hello, gentlemen. Carla, your face and your voice is missed. Give a brother a phone call. Maybe pick up the phone. Ricky McCain says, he's been too rich too long to understand my life. Mary's with us. She says, hi, guys. Ricky also says,
what's up, Mary?
Ricky also says the community should be able to talk about any but jokes about any broke when you have had money for 30 years. Come on, man. Ricky, what are you talking about? So,
Ricky just mashing buttons over there. We need to get you that Stephen Hawking machine.
I'm gonna say fake ass book club because I have no idea which one of these two smart, beautiful ladies is on commenting. But fake ass book club says, I saw the video. The context was about using the N-word in their act, and I love ChrisRock's work. And Ricky says, Louis C.K. creeps me out. He's definitely on Epstein's list.
So, I mean, in the context of what Chris Rock's joke is, Louis C.K. is the negative stereotypes. And you can just tell by his behavior, the way he, jerks off on the phone while other people are watching, like, that's some nigga shit. So it fits. I'm not trying to crucify Chris Rock because that's his friend and they have a different relationship. I understand how publicly, if you were on the outside looking in, you would feel some type of way about this white guy saying the N-word all willy-nilly and the black dude sitting right there co-signing it, and you don't know the ins and outs of their relationship and the context in which he's using it. I can completely understand why people would be aggrieved of that, especially when you factor in all of Chris Rock's history and some of the controversial things he's said. But to me, if we aren't allowed to talk about black life in public, why do we get to complain about all the negative things that we go through if we can't talk about the negative things we do to ourselves? Like, to me, I just don't understand why they don't want him saying what he said in the context of that joke for mainstream people to consume. Because these are the things that you have going on in your community that when someone else tells you about it, you get pissed off about it. But when it's happening, you don't say anything. To me, that's hypocritical.
I don't know what people think comics are. We are people who take in whatever society gives us. We figure out how we're going to interpret it and twist it, or however we want to set up our delivery system to give it back to you. We don't pull stuff out of the sky. We take what you give us, we internalize it, we think about it. Hey, can I make that funny? Is that funny? Is that funny just to me? We go through all these thoughts. We hit all these different mics to figure it out for a whole year sometimes, just to make one joke fucking right. And still the joke still isn't right. And then we give it back to you. That's all we're doing. And that's all Chris is doing. And I've had black people get up and leave. Deon and I've talked about this. I think I talked about it on the show. I've had black people get up from the front row and leave the show when I start telling the truth about black people. They were laughing when I was talking about everyone else. Now this is a problem. There are so many black people who think we are not supposed to talk about what's going on inside of our own community, which I think is such a negative way to look at it, whether we're talking about comedy or we're not talking about comedy. You have to be able to talk about these things and put that out there. If we can't, then you can't sit and judge and laugh and whatever else you want to do about other communities. You can't do it.
I think people misunderstand what equality means. Equality is across the board. So equal outcomes being positive, equal outcomes being negative. And most people only focus on the positive outcomes of equality, and no one wants to ever take a look at the equal outcomes of the negative. That's why I get so frustrated when I hear white people say, I want equality for everybody. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't want to take your turn in the mud. nobody wants to take their turn in the mud. And as black people have spent the majority of their time in the mud, when we seek equality, it's usually the positive outlook. But as the community, we are not unified. We've never been unified. I mean, Chris Rock's joke is a perfect example. That entire big grand opening, grand closing, where they open up a movie theater and then niggas start shooting it up, and it's like black people are trying to have a positive thing, but then niggas come around and find a way to fuck it up for everybody. Like, that is a true aspect of our culture, and it's something that they kind of talked about it on the Godfrey's podcast, where this cultural entertainment aspect of black leadership, they put so much on entertainers to be the voice of the community and to represent the community in such a positive way, when really it's the people within the community who work their regular jobs, the bus drivers, the barbershop guys, the teachers. They are the true stewards of the community, and what they say goes. So you can have Ali Sadi talked about this. You can have a guy coming out here and trying to speak the truth and be real, but if he ain't dripped in jewelry, the everyday black dude's not going to give him the validation that he requires. It's like you have to go get stamped by mainstream and then come back to the community for anybody to listen to what you said, when your message doesn't change whether you're stamped or not. And to me, that was one of the most poignant things I took away from the whole conversation, is how, you kind of said it earlier, black people are slow to grasp onto
us,
other black entertainers, when it comes to, it was like, how many times have you seen the same comedy show come to your town? I know they do it every year here at the Indiana Black Expos. Always got the same 4 or 5 comics. Yeah. Arnez J, Earthquake, Bruce, those type of guys. You never get anybody new. And this has been going on for over 20 years. It's the same guys.
Same material.
And it's like, there are other black comics out there, but if you're not, black people go with what they're used to. They don't want to discover anything new. This is not what we do.
And you make it, and that's a great point, because it's as if we ask for this independence, and we want this independence, and we want to be treated a certain way, and we could think for ourselves, and so on and so forth. But in a lot of ways, we can't. And you make a good point. It's not till we're stamped by Hollywood or if it's the music industry, whatever big label, whether it be Jay-Z saying you need to listen to this guy or whatever it is, that's the only time we all decide we're going to jump on board. Nobody in our community, generally speaking, wants to discover anything new. They just don't support. And I don't care if you're watching and you're black and you're upset about it. The truth is the fucking truth. I've been doing it for almost 16 years, and Godfrey touched on it as well. Now, Ali would say something different. He gets the big dudes who come up and speak to him, but Ali talks about being in prison. So the dudes who are walking up to him have been in prison. He gets that. I'm not getting it. Godfrey talks about not getting it. You've talked about not getting it. We've talked about it over and over again. It is always people outside of our community who are the ones to support, and the ones who want to be able to handle business the way business is handled. I remember coming up, black people all the time, why don't you do any black shows? Why don't you do any black shows? For several reasons. But at the top of them, the shows never start on time. You never have my money when it's time to pay me. And 3, there's always some nonsense that pops off during the show or after the show. Those are just 3 of a multitude of reasons. And so it's just, unfortunately, seems the way that it is. And I don't see how there is any way to change it.
I've been doing this for 18 years, and the stark contrast between doing a black produced show and a main produced show is so unfortunate to see. That it's like all these black people are coming out to a comedy show, yet they don't have enough respect for the promoter, the venue, and the performers to give them the same type of attention and respect that they would people that they know have made it. I've done shows where the headliner wasn't some uber famous guy, and people in the crowd were just being niggas, for lack of a better term. And it's one of those things where it's like, you wonder why you can't have anything. It's because nobody wants to put up with all this extra shit that you have to put up with, whether it be jumping through hoops to get your check, whether it be making sure everybody does the 2-item minimum, whether it be everybody turning their cell phones off while the show's going on, whether it be not hollering out like this is the movie theater. It's just black people take liberties with other black people, not realizing that those liberties cost in the end. Like somebody has to pay for those. So, I don't want to say it's all black shows, because I've done some black shows that have been run immaculately and everything went,
Those are few
pro bono. But I can count on one hand those shows versus shows where I've gone to and it's just been complete nonsense, whether the lighting's not right or the microphone don't work or somebody's late. And, you got people walking in. This is the thing that really irritates me, is when people walk into the front row an hour into the show. Like, motherfucker, where were you? Like, it's disrespectful to everybody else in the room and the performer on stage, where you got to make this big ass entrance. Like, the show's not about you.
Yep.
Why can't you be here on time?
Not to mention that the other comics normally, because normally it's only in my experience, I'll play Deon's role. In my experience, I don't want to just paint every one of the shows this way. But in my experience, there's only 1 or 2 professional comics. And when I say professional comics, I mean comics who treat this as a business. And everybody else on there who does not do things that they're not supposed to do, such as run the light by 10 to 15 minutes. So now a show that should have been an hour and 20, hour and a half, this show is taking 2.5 hours long. And if you are the comic that they brought in to be the cleanup hitter because you are the pro, you got people walking out and leaving the show before you ever get a chance to get on stage, because the show's taking 2 hours. And so there's a lot of different things that happen with it. When you're talking about that type of show versus that type of show. But there were some great points made, in my opinion, by Godfrey, where we don't support one another. And the reason they got on that discussion was because they started talking about Matt Rife. If you don't know who Matt Rife is the hottest thing in stand-up right now. He's just killing it in terms of ticket sales. He's getting ready to do a world tour next year. A lot of this has come from his but from his IG clips that feed over to his YouTube. And he has great support from women, mostly white women, as Godfrey would put it. But that's how they got into this conversation, because Godfrey posed the question, with all of the black people we have in this country, why don't black people support their entertainers the same way that white people, specifically Matt Rife, his fan base has supported him and pushed him to this position? Because without that, we don't get to that level. It's a numbers game. And if you don't support, no one who looks like you can get to that level. Kevin Hart didn't get to his level because a bunch of us like Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart get to that level because a bunch of people who don't look like us, with a mixture of us, jumped on board and pushed him to the level he's at now.
I mean, can you name one black comic who got to that level on the backs of black people?
Not off the top of my head.
You know why you can't? Because none of them have.
I can't
none of them have it. You have to go mainstream before the black community comes and supports you in the droves that these people are supporting Matt Rife. You have to be a star already in order for, the regular everyday black dude to get on board. Because one, they don't go seek out new people. I mean, we kind of talked about it earlier. No one, they're very happy with Earthquake and Bruce. And no disrespect to those guys. They're making their money. They're doing what they're doing. And, they have longevity over their careers. But at the same time, how do you put on the next guy? How do you get the next guy? If Bruce and Earthquake were mainstream, would they be putting on? I can't answer that question. I've met both of them. They were very, very kind to me, but they still haven't met the level that Matt Rife is on right now, and they've been doing it way longer than him.
Yep.
Now, if you ask me who's the better of the stand-ups, I would say them, point blank, period. It's not even close.
And I'm sure Matt would say the same thing.
Yeah, but he has the support, which is what all entertainers want, is to, hey, when I'm putting on something, when I'm doing something, I need you guys to be there on time, pay your hard-earned money to come see me do what I do. Now, Matt Rife's challenge is going to be keeping it fresh because you can only do crowd work for so long until you've done all the crowd work you can do. So to me, this world tour, if he lasts past his world tour, I will be shocked. I'm rooting for him because he's a comic, and if he does it, that just means the door will open for another comic down the road. So I'm really hoping he has a lot of success. But a 30 city tour doing all crowd work is risky business,
especially in the theater. I would agree with that. And I've worked with Matt, nice guy. I worked with him 18 months ago, and 18 months ago is 180, almost 180 degree difference to what it is today in terms of ticket sales, popularity. There was no talking no war tour. Nobody saw this coming. And that's the other thing when we talk about comedy and show business. No one can tell you how to get from that point to that point. And so this is a shock to a lot of people. A lot of people pretend that like it's not. I've listened to some other, I've known Matt Ray forever. I knew he was going to. You didn't know. You had no idea. You had no idea. No one saw this coming. Comedian August O'Neill throws on the board. Well, before I get to her, Ernest Six has said some nice things. August says she's agreed with you. She said a few minutes ago. Ernest says 100% LMAO. Facts. Loving this topic. So, Ernest, thank you for jumping in and digging the topic.
What up, Ernest? That's my guy. He's a comic here in Indy. Shout out to Ernest.
I assumed he was a comic because he was like, that's facts. Loving this topic. Only comic will love this topic. Other people may like it. Only a comic will love it. Comedian August O'Neill says Richard Pryor is her answer to what comic has got there with black people. And I would say, August, you're completely wrong.
Because she's so wrong.
Completely wrong. Because Richard was trying to become Bill Cosby when he first started doing comedy. And he was on all of the white shows well before he flipped and decided, I found my own voice. I'm going to do my own thing. But even then, there were still tons of white people who loved Richard and went out and bought tickets and propelled his career to the heights that it got to.
It's one of those things where it's not that black people don't support, it's the amount. Well, that's not true because there are very supportive black people who go out to see Earthquakes and Bruce Bruce's and D.L. Hughley's and those. They go every time, whether the material is the same or not. They support. What I'm saying is the mainstream power that white people have is not the same mainstream power that black people have. Like, you can be on BET and you can be a super megastar, but that does not compare to being on CBS, ABC, or NBC. So even if you reach the level of peak blackness, when you compare that to the people who are in mainstream anything, it's just not the same because the numbers aren't the same.
And what I'm saying is, yes, when DL comes here, DL sells out the Tempe Improv. The Tempe Improv was 400 plus seats. He'll sell it out every single show. Bruce comes, he does stand-up live, he sells it out. I'm not saying those guys don't come. And there is a lot of black folks who come out to those shows. What I'm saying is, of those black folks, very few of them were around supporting these guys when they were making their way up. It wasn't until, as you put it, mainstream put the spotlight on them, whether it be a TV show, whether it be a movie, whether it be whatever, that then, oh shit, I got to go see this. I got to jump on this. I got to jump on this.
Well, I mean, how do you expect people to find, how do you find Matt Rife? How do you find these guys if it's not for TV? No one knows us because we're not on TV. So it's one of those things where you got to have word of mouth. And
I have a great fan base. I have a great fan base here. And
yeah, but are they black people? Is what I'm saying.
That's my point. If them people can find me, you can find me.
And to my point, that's what I said earlier. We don't go looking for new.
No, we don't.
Black people don't go looking for new. When new shows up, we'll check it out. But black people do not go searching for new anything unless it's closed. They ain't checking for the hottest new comic around.
And by the time
if it weren't for the internet, guys like Desi Banks and Country Wayne, no one would know who they were.
Yeah. And I was going to say to you, by the time black people jump on, it's not new anymore. These people have already been doing it for a long time and have gotten the support to get to that level where black people finally notice. Ricky says, anything, not any y'all gotta chill. Now, I assume Ricky's trying to say, not anyone, y'all gotta chill. And Ricky, we don't have to chill. The truth is, not anyone. Facebook user says, and I'm not sure, I don't know if you can see their name, says, I love Matt Rife. Is that Chelsea?
No, that's Dana.
Okay. Dana, let us know why you love Matt Rife. I want to know from you.
I'll give you 3 guesses, but I bet you only need 1.
Okay. Let's see here. Mallory. Mary Ballard says, I stalked Sidney. Mary was coming out to all the shows. I know Mary will be at my special that I'm shooting on November 11th. So tickets will go on sale for that August 15th. So if anybody's out there,
I don't want it to be misconstrued as like I'm complaining, because I'm not complaining. Whoever supports me supports me. It's not my job to worry about that. It's my job to just keep producing good material for people to consume. You find me when you find me. Do I want the support of the Black community? Absolutely. But I'm not finna go over there begging the motherfuckers to come check me out. I don't have time for that. So if it takes me going mainstream and then popping and then Black people show up, all I'm going to say is, took you niggas long enough, but I'm glad you're here.
Look, man, we're having a conversation. Truth is going to be truth. And so if you agree, you agree. If you don't, you don't. You know, it is what it is. But if you never watched this show before, welcome to us not sugarcoating shit. All right. Therese says, Earthquake put my friend on Chris Mosley shows across the U.S. Does that count? Or am I reaching? Hey, fellas. Hi, twin. What's up, Therese? And she says, hey, Deon.
What up, Therese?
Therese, let me read. I'm going to reread this again. Earthquake put my friend Chris Mosley on shows. Chris Mosley is a comic here in the Phoenix area. I guess he put him on a ton of shows across the U.S. Does that count? Or am I reaching? Earthquake putting Chris on shows, I mean, that counts for Earthquake reaching back and pulling someone forward. I've seen that done before. No, you're not reaching at all. But it's not the same as, I don't think it's the same thing as what we're talking about right now.
I think Kevin Hart, what he's trying to do with the LOL network is finally start to bring up people who should be higher. But that's another thing, that another part of this conversation that we kind of have to talk about, is a lot of us don't even have our business shit together. And so when it comes time to be ready to be put on, you got to have your business, you got to be about your business, and you got to have your business ready to go. It's one thing to be a funny person on stage and say things in the microphone and get booked, but if you don't have the business acumen to get that push and then do something with it, it kind of just fizzles out.
But I would say this, I have that problem with Black, white, Arab, with a lot of young comics, because I give that advice all the time. If they're 18 months, 2 years in, and they're grinding, and I see something in them, I'm like, my first questions are not about material. Do you have a website? Do you have headshots? Do you have any sort of anything that resembles an EPK? And so that's, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. That number, and I don't care what race they are, that number of young comics that actually takes that advice I give and runs with it, I can touch my fingers. That's how small the percentage is. Roxy says, didn't Miss Pat talk about this after the BET Plus show? Her demo started to change. Deon might be able to speak to this. I don't know. Did Miss Pat?
Well, yeah. When she first started, she was huge on Bob and Tom. It wasn't until she got on the Breakfast Club that mainstream Black people got on board and started to support her more and more. When we first went out on the road, the majority of her shows were full of white people, and it would be a handful of Black people in pockets. But for the most part, it took her going on the Breakfast Club for Black people to be like, oh shit, who's this lady? And then you started to notice more and more that Black people were buying up all the tickets, and her shows became predominantly Black. But in the beginning, it was white people who helped her build what she's got now. And it's, I don't know how to answer that question. How do we get Black people to be the ones to lay the foundation for?
I think we answered it. I think you just answered it perfectly with answering Roxy's question. Because if you look at the Breakfast Club, whether you like the show or don't like the show, they have kept a foothold within the African American community, within the culture, within the streets, if you will. That's why you still see Kevin Hart and people of that ilk still go to that show when they're trying to launch something because they know they can still connect and get black people to hear them. So I think you just said it. You have to get to a certain level. But even at that point, Miss Pat would have to be at a level for the Breakfast Club to fuck with her.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the foundation was already set when she got there. So can the Breakfast Club do more to showcase that's a conversation for another day. To me, you take risks when you invite these people who may or may not be about their business, who you think, hey, this guy's talented, but if they go on the Breakfast Club and they bomb, I mean, they're fucked within that community. Black people don't give second chances when it comes to if I thought you wasn't funny, you unfunny for the rest of your life. There is no coming back from that nigga ain't funny.
But here's the thing. I'm not looking for the Breakfast Club because that's still a business, and they're there to make money, and they're there to bring people that they think can bring more eyeballs, more listeners, more whatever, and they have to sell commercial time. I get all of that. I'm talking about finding us before, supporting before, not asking for free tickets every time a show is getting ready to pop off, pulling your money out, throwing it on the table. Don't ask me for free tickets when I can see on Facebook that you're spending money all over the place and other shit. But then when it comes time they put $15, $20 a ticket down to support something for me, you ain't got it.
Well, I mean, you have to look at the history of black people in this country. To me, it's always going to be the crab in the barrel mentality. And when it comes to that to me is the only explanation I have for why it takes black people so long in order to support somebody who's trying to make it in the entertainment industry. Now, if you're a rapper and you got a mixtape, they gonna fuck with you. But when it comes to comedy and that type of thing, it's damn near impossible to get black people to, I'm gonna give this motherfucker a chance. Because, that entertainment dollar, that extra resource is so important to black people. You got bills you got to pay. You don't want to go gambling on your entertainment money. They just, for whatever reason that you can come up with, I don't know any black people who are gonna take a flyer on an unknown. We were just in the area. Let's go check out this spot.
No,
you know what I mean?
But if you give them tickets, they'll come there and love to come if you go give it to them. They won't pay for it. But if you gave them some tickets, I'll show up. Sure.
Right, because like I said, because that entertainment dollar is so important. It's like you don't want to be shelling out what little free spending money you got on something you're not sure you're going to like. To me, that's understandable as a black person because I do it all the time. It's like, let me read a review on that before I go take a chance. I think that's just black culture.
And I should have said this earlier, but from the Fake Ass Book Club, Kat is the one that's on commenting with us tonight.
Okay. What's up, Kat?
So Facebook user says, I'm trying to read this as accurately as possible. I believe they are saying if it wasn't for social media, I don't think Matt Rife would be as popular. Well,
yeah, that's Michelle Douglas.
Okay, so Michelle Douglas. Michelle, social media absolutely helps, but I don't think it's just that. I think it helps that he's a good-looking kid as well. If you look at his specials, his most recent ones, and look at the Red Flag he dropped a week ago, they do a lot of camera work on the audience. It is a ton of beautiful young white girls that are there. Now, I've always been a firm believer that your fan base should and will probably be more often females. Mine is, because more often, very seldom you see a group of guys just decide, I'm going to a comedy show, and they show up. Normally, it's a group of women or it's couples, and most of those couples, unless the dudes really love you, they're there because the girls wanted to see you. So it's not too outrageous, but these women have really, really pushed him forward. And he's aware of it. That's why you look at the headshots. You see the pics on Google where he's got the shirt up showing the abs. He's aware of all these things. He's playing it up as he should. And he's also bringing whatever type of comedy that they really like as well. But I will agree with you. He does a great job with those IG reels. Like if you watch his entire set, they do a great job of finding the real high points and turning that into a clip and using that to advertise. Absolutely does a great job with that.
I was trying to think of any comedians that I know of whose majority fan base is mostly male. And Corey Holcomb's the only one I can think of where the majority of his audiences, in times I've seen him, the reason people were there was because if there was a woman there, it was because she was on a date. I don't think I've ever seen any women just by themselves go check out a Corey Holcomb show. Whereas you take the flip side, most women go to comedy shows in groups and guys come along because the girl's like, oh, I want to see this guy, or it's a couple thing and they both like the comedian. I can't think of many male comics who have predominantly male fan bases.
Corey might be the only one. You might be right. And that's and mostly because of Corey's material.
Right.
Because I've never seen anyone walk women like Corey will walk women based off his material. So I think you're right.
It's not even close, Corey. but that's one of those things where it's like, you should know what Corey's going to say before you ever show up. Like if you go to a Corey Holcomb show on accident, that whatever happens to you is your fault because you didn't do your research. Because Corey has been the exact same guy his entire career, and he's never pulled any punches. He ain't gonna start today or tomorrow. So if you go into that situation and you get up and leave, that was your fault to begin with.
You know who I'm thinking of right now? Who I'm trying to. I was trying to think of as you were speaking, and you're right, Corey Holcomb. And for anybody out there who had a friend who took you to a Corey Holcomb show and you got mad, that friend does not like you. So know that because they knew that you would get upset. I was trying to think of what black comic could I think of that I would put on a level of Matt Rife right now, where it seems like it kind of came out of nowhere. Ton of females who dig him, and he just got and that's what kind of carried him for quite some time. Bill Bellamy was who came to my mind.
But see. But that's the thing. Bill's been in movies. He's a Hollywood guy now.
I'm talking about when he was coming up. He had that pretty boy thing. The females really dug him. That's what for me, in my opinion, that's what really pushed him. Then he got on the MTV, and then everything else came after that.
Now that makes sense to me. Yeah, he. The more and more I think about it, yeah, you're spot on. I can't think of anybody else even remotely close to that type of kind of rise. They're Matt Rife after this world tour. I'm sure we're going to see him in a ton of movies.
Absolutely,
the same way that we saw Bill Bellamy. So I mean, yeah, that's a really very accurate comparison.
All right, okay, no worries, Therese. No worries. I'm glad you're here. However you got here. Mary says, hell yes, I will be there. So she'll be at the taping of my special. I appreciate you, Mary, for that. She also says, I would love to see you guys on LOL. My heart will be so happy. Mary, it's all coming. It's all coming. I'm glad you're here early because everybody who gets here late, we're going to be telling them to fuck off. Ernest says, yep. Not sure why he says yep. Ernest, so I apologize if I got to the comment late. Fake Ass Book Club, a.k.a. Cat. Says historically, white people have more resources to help support comedians. And Kat, I would say that you're halfway there, and I would agree with you. Historically, white people do have more resources to go out and support. What I would say to you also, I know some broke ass white people who come out and support too and buy tickets. So that's where you and I would separate on that one. More resources, absolutely. But Deon made the point, which was a great point. Black people spend their money on what they want to spend it on. And on anything they got to take a shot on, other than going to a casino, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you got to maximize what little you have. And black people typically don't. I would say the average black person doesn't gamble on anything new when it comes to a restaurant or a comic, hell, music, movies. They'll wait till everybody else to say, oh yeah, you should go check it out. Excuse me, before they ever hop on.
See, comedian August O'Neill says, we want Fallon. I don't know where that came from or why you would say that. And with caps, all caps. What does that got to do? What are you talking about? Ernest Hicks says, facts. Black people see you the first time and you bomb, they won't give you a second chance. This is very true. Facebook user says, laugh my black ass off because I'm poor, see it. I don't know who said that. Can you see
That's
that?
your boy Slim.
Oh, okay. You are not poor. Not in the least. So let's move on. Roxy Perez says, It's like the samples at Costco. Some people want to try it out first. All right, well, yeah, I mean, they can, absolutely can.
But I think the argument becomes, well, we are of the same skin color, so you should be more willing to take that risk with me than it is someone else. And I think that's kind of part of the context of this conversation when it comes to how, Matt Rife has gotten this meteoric rise of support from women who think he's hot or funny. It's like they are taking a chance on this guy who they've only seen a minute, 30-second clip, and they're willing to shell out $600 to go see a whole hour of what they saw a minute and 30 seconds on. Whereas you and I have been doing this for 16 and 18 years respectively. And it's like, yo, I have to haggle with free tickets just in order for you to take the time to write it on your calendar. So maybe you show up. It's like, what more reason do you have to support me other than the fact that, one, I've been doing this for 18 years. Two, I'm really good at what I do. And three, I need your support. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, I look just like you. I know what you've been through. Roll that dice on me and take that chance. Maybe I have something funny to say that oh shit, this is a new guy that I can come check out. But, that's the struggle.
I'm at the point now, I've been doing this long enough. My fan base is pretty solid. I won't give free tickets unless I want to. And most of the time, I give them to people who've come out to support me repeatedly. Like Mary would tell you, and Mary turns them down all the time. I'll say, Mary, hey, I'm going to give you guys a couple of free tickets. She always says no. I want to buy my tickets, which I appreciate. But those are the people I reserve the free tickets for now. I don't feel the need, as we all do when we first start. You're trying to get people in because this is the business. You got to show you can put asses in seats and all that type of thing. I don't feel that need at this point. Maybe that would change as things move to that next level and rooms get bigger. But right now, I don't feel the need. But when I did, man, having a room full of people who get free tickets is one of, you and I talk about horror stories. Those are some of the worst, because those are the people who do not respect the show because they didn't have to pay to get in. So they treat it like a complete car wreck. Oh, it's the worst.
It's one of those things where, you give them the free sample, as Roxy put it, like Costco. You give them the free sample, and it's like they enjoy it, but they already got it for free. So now they're like, well, I don't want to pay for it when you gave it to me for free. So it's kind of this double-edged sword of, well, I gave you the hookup, so now it's your time to hook me up by buying a ticket to the next show. And it's like, well, why would I do that when I came and saw you for free the first time? And I've already seen you, so I'm assuming you're going to do the same thing. So it's like, why would I pay for that? It's like one of those things where it's like, bro, even if I am doing the same thing, I gave you the first one for free so you can come back and see it again because you enjoyed it. And it's Black people are notoriously bad at being like, nah, I'm going to go support this man. I don't want the free ticket. A perfect example, my cousin just graduated from college. He's a doctor now, right? So we had like a family get together in June, and they asked me to do stand-up at this. Now, I've always told my family, I do not want to perform for y'all. Whatever vacation function, whatever holiday function it's my day off too, right? So the last thing I want to do is be performing for y'all. But my uncle insisted, and I was like, look, I really don't want to do it, but if you insist, I'll do it because you're my uncle and I love you, right? So he said he wanted a half an hour. Now, I knew good and hell well with the jokes I had, because I told him I'm not writing any new stuff. What you're getting is what I do. If that's what you want, that's what I'm going to give you. So, of course, he's like, sure. And, my cousins are there and they have their kids. And my material's not child friendly. So I'm doing my jokes. He gives me the light early. And I go, let this be a lesson to you that I told you before I didn't want to do this. Now you know for a certain fact that you don't want to book me for any of these future family functions. It's because this is not the place for you to be seeing what I do. And I love my cousins to death, but how many times hey, when's your next show? And then I tell them, and then they do not buy a ticket. Yeah. And then the day after, like, hey man, how was your show? It's like, fuck you, cuz. You asked me about it. I told you about it. Then you didn't show up. And then you want to know, like, why are you doing that to me? I'm supposed to be family. And I don't know about your family, Sid, but it drives me up the wall when they ask about it. You tell them about it. You even hook them up with free tickets, and they can't even take advantage of that. It is one of the most frustrating things of all time.
Early on in my career, talk about free tickets and not taking advantage. If I gave you free tickets after you asked, because I wasn't a dude at the mall walking around just talking and handing tickets. I've seen comics do that early on. I didn't do all that. But if you asked me for tickets or asked me the next show or whatever, and I gave you free tickets, you didn't use those tickets, I kept a list. And you went on the no free ticket fucking list like that. Because I find nothing more embarrassing, especially when your name is on the show. Deanna, you know this. The club is asking you, hey, how many people you expecting? How many people you expecting? Because they need to know how much staff they need to have on. And if I give them one number and that number falls way less based off of whatever reason, I'm pissed off. The club doesn't come and say anything to me, but you've embarrassed me. And you asked for the fucking tickets.
And it's one of those things, too, where even if the club doesn't say anything, they take note.
Absolutely.
They know when they're cutting the servers, hey, you can go home. Sorry, we called you in. We thought we were going to have more. Like that stigma is way worse than any other type of stigma that you can have. If you overpromise and underdeliver at a club, it takes years for them to give you a second chance, if you ever get that second chance. And so, whether it be because Black people don't respect you or because they don't think about it. It's one of those things where if I offer you a free ticket and you say you're coming and then you don't show up, that fucks me way worse than just being like, nah, man, I can't make it. I got shit to do. I would rather you do that to my face every time I told you I had a show than for you to say, yo, I'm coming. And then I put it in a word for you. And then the day comes and you're not there because that fucks up the business.
Absolutely. And this is a business. Therese says, I like my twin and UD. I'll spend money. Well, thank you, Therese. I appreciate you. Comedian August O'Neill says, ha ha ha, at Roxy. Ernest says, Deon, just called me. And he has some.
Ike just called.
I'm sorry, Ike just called. I apologize.
He's a Black promoter here.
Okay. Is there a story to this that you can share?
But I'm not talking about it on here. I'll tell you off.
All right. August says, Sidney Cool J. I have no idea what that means. But I'll take it. I hope it's a compliment. Let's see here. Roxy said something I wanted to read. Damn it, I lost it.
Is it a response to what
there
August said?
Yeah, it says comedian August. It's a commitment issue for some folks. Some be eating booty faster than they can commit to buying a $10 ticket. And Mary says, I choose to spend a good portion of our entertainment dollar on live comedy, so it's a choice. Mary goes out to see a lot of shows. She does. It's not just my shows. She goes to see a lot of shows. Therese says, you shouldn't feel the need. You are a brand. We can invest in your brand. Thank you, Therese. Therese is just getting all kind of brownie points today. Therese would be able to ride on the private jet. August says, giving away free tickets is equal to me giving out buddy passes. Yeah. Well, August, you don't really give out buddy passes. Well, I guess it is. I guess it's the same. Roy says, wait. What y'all mean, Black people? You know what we mean. Barry says, you got that right, Sidney. I would always buy my tickets. It's my way of supporting you guys. And Roxy says, your cousins missed out on a good show, Deon. So that's a nice thing right there, Rox.
Oh, I'm well aware they missed out, but it's one of those things where it's like, you're my family. Like, if anybody's going to, and Sidney, you said this before, strangers are way quicker to support you than the people in your inner circle for whatever reason. That just seems to be the way it is. I can personally attest to people who I've never met in real life have gone above and beyond to support what it is that I'm trying to do. Where there's some people in my own family who, I tell them, hey, I've got a show on X day, weeks in advance, and then that day shows up and I don't hear from them. And then the next day they pop up, hey, how'd your show go? It's like, don't even talk to me.
Yep. And we'll have the audacity. What's that ChrisRock bit? He said, motherfuckers will steal from you and then come over the next day. Or you got robbed.
Help you look for the shit they took. Yeah.
Motherfucker, you robbed me. So David James is back in the building. What's up, Dave? He said, that's an intentional taste mask, 30-yard penalty. Sorry, bro.
What does that mean?
I don't know. Are you watching two different podcasts at the same time, Dave? What does that mean? Roxy says, I can't believe people actually ask for yes, Roxy. And you know what's the worst, Roxy? Is when they ask, and this has happened multiple times over my career, they ask and then they hit you up again. Hey, can I get another one? Can I get another one? Oh, I just invited so-and-so. Can I get another one? Like, you never say, yeah, I'm going to the show, but you need to go to his website to buy your tickets if you want to come. Yo, you hit me and you ask for more tickets.
That's the worst, is when they're doing the word of mouth free ticket hookup on your behalf without you knowing who these people are. Like, why am I? No, I don't know these motherfuckers. Make them buy a ticket.
Which I'm not gonna say anything else, but yeah, it makes me laugh. All right, August says it's a wrap. She agrees with you, Deon, and it's just because you said your fan base is mainly women. I mean, if you're a male comic, your fan base is going to be mainly women for the most part, except if you're Corey Holcomb. And Royce Bellaby says, I'll take 2 and 2 on layaway. So I got you, Royce. I'll set you up for the layaway player. This is bad, man. Thank y'all for watching. That was a good topic. That took the whole show.
You don't want to hit the Angela Bassett honorary Oscar?
Yeah, let's do it. Y'all, well, I'm going to assume y'all are going to ride with us. We're going to get into it. Roxy says that's like inviting Mexicans to a party. You invite one cousin, they show up with 13 people. I can't say that. David said last show I said those Sids, some dude got engaged. Def ain't missing out on provided tickets. So David said the last show he came to of mine. He saw a dude get engaged, which is a mutual friend of ours, got engaged at a show. That was a fun night. But so he said he definitely ain't missing out on any provided tickets. So he must get hooked up on those for that night.
Is that something that you like when there's proposals in front of you?
I set it up.
Okay. So you okayed it. Okay.
Yeah. It was a very good friend of mine. He wanted to do it. I called the owner of the club, which I can't name because the owner of the club asked me not to name it because he did not want a bunch of people doing this at his club. But he okayed it, and my buddy, he did it. He surprised her. We were able to surprise her. Dave was there, and it was a good night. And he proposed, and she said yes, and it was good.
All right. To me, it's weird. It's weird to me. Like, let's take my wife out, my soon-to-be wife out, to ask her for a bunch. That's weird to me, but.
Well, it meant something. It meant something to him in terms of our relationship. When he met her, when he was dating her, he made sure I met her because we're close and so on and so forth. And we've been friends for years, and he just wanted that to be a part of it because their relationship had intertwined with so many moments between he and I over the time that they were together. So it's, to him, for whatever reason, it meant something to him to do it that way. I proposed in front of 30 people. So I can't say anything about anybody. So that's all I did. So I set it all up with
never gonna be me.
Rose petals, candles, all kind of shit. That was the only time I've ever been nervous speaking. Tamara came out, everyone's standing there, everything's lit up. First thing she says, "You got to be fucking kidding me." so I was like, oh shit, it's about to go all bad. Roy says, so if it don't work out, he gonna Will Smith you, bro. Royce, everybody knows what will happen to you. It's not gonna be a good day for you. All right, so let's move on to our next topic. And we'll try to get through this real quick. Thank you guys for rocking with us. The show has been going and more eyeballs have come. We appreciate it. A lot of comments. If you have not clicked that share button, please do so. We would love that. Angela Bassett will be given an honorary Oscar. I was hoping to see some report over the last few days where she told them to go fuck off. But I have not seen any such report as of yet. Deon, you correct me if I'm wrong. I see this as a complete slap in the face. And I had pulled up something here that I wanted to read for everyone. So if you guys give me a moment to pull it up here on my screen.
Just to interject here, I haven't seen anything about her saying no to it.
So Angela Bassett and Mel Brooks are among those who will receive an honorary Oscar at this year's Governors Awards. Bassett is 64, Mel Brooks is 96. Also, Carol Littleton, 81, who's an editor of films, will be getting one. She edited films such as Body Heat, E.T., The Big Chill. I think there's another one or two people. I also found the exact definition for an honorary Oscar. Honorary awards are given for lifetime achievements, exceptional contributions to motion picture arts and sciences, and outstanding service to the Academy. I don't know how you could be any of that if you've never won an Oscar before. So to me, for Angela Bassett specifically, this isn't, oh man, we really fucked up at the last awards. You should have got that, and we didn't give it to you. So now let us try to clean it up by giving you this. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, to me, she is one of the people in Hollywood who has, her portrayal of Tina Turner was so good that for a while there, I thought she was Tina Turner. She did the Jackson 5 story, The American Dream, and she plays Michael Jackson's mother.
Catherine.
And yeah, she was so good at Catherine. I don't want you, I don't want you, I don't want you no more, Joseph.
So good.
She was so phenomenal in that movie. She's one of those people where you look at her and you hear that she's never won an Oscar and you go, how? Now, there's a certain person watching this show right now who doesn't even know who she is. And I say, shame on you. You know who you are. Because she messaged me earlier talking about, I don't even know who Angela Bassett is. And I go, you are the reason why we talk about white people in this country because you don't know nothing about black folks. Angela Bassett is a fucking national treasure.
Absolutely.
She's one of the top 5 best actresses of all time. It's not even close. And for her to not have an Oscar, to slap her with this honorary award when she's been sitting in the audience for how many of those Oscar shows where she's been nominated and didn't win is a fucking travesty.
Completely agree. And again, like I said, that they should have some type of rule. You can't get an honorary one if you've never gotten a regular one. Because if this is the definition of what this means to get this, I think if you hit a couple of those high points there that I see listed, then they probably should have awarded you one. And she should have definitely gotten it this last Oscar award ceremony. So, and when they
even if not for a starring role, the supporting roles that she's done, she's been phenomenal. So it's one of those things where like there have been multiple categories where she should have taken an Oscar for her performances.
And this is a great example too, Deon, to do a callback to what we were talking about being the angry black guy or the angry black woman. When they kept the camera on her, because her face, she didn't do that fake smile and that fake applause when they gave it to Jamie Lee Curtis, I believe. And they made such a big to-do about it for like the next 2 days where they had just had to keep showing this shot of Angela not laughing and smiling and clapping when they gave it to Jamie Lee Curtis. I love that. And I love that because I was also the kid growing up who hated to get into that handshaking line after we lost. I don't like the fake nonsense. If you lose, you lose. I should be allowed to feel how I want to feel about it. And to keep that camera on her because she didn't choose to play this bullshit game when I'm sure she knew you guys fucked her over. And you wanted to try your own story and turn into something else that you wanted to make it out.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of grace that everybody should be afforded to have their moment to where they deal with whatever emotion it is that they're dealing with. And for her to be sitting there and the cameras keep panning over to her to see if she's, happy for Jamie Lee Curtis or not. Whether she was happy for Jamie Lee Curtis or not is irrelevant. The fact that she had gotten snubbed for an Oscar she earned and deserved is the bigger story, in my opinion. Like, kudos to Jamie Lee Curtis, okay, whatever. But you can't tell me that Angela Bassett doesn't deserve an Oscar. Just look at her filmography and you can, movie after movie after movie, where she absolutely destroys the role that she's playing in. Whether it be a Lifetime movie or a box office smash. What's the one with the girls and they, she's an older woman. Stella got her groove back. Yeah, it's
with
like
Dix.
Because it's a black movie, it doesn't get the mainstream views that it should get. But to me, that movie is the perfect example of living single versus Friends, right?
Mhm.
Where had you made how Stella got her groove back and you took 4 white women dating a younger pool boy, that movie is doing outrageous numbers. We see it all the fucking time. But the fact that it's 4 black women with black, the main cast is black, it doesn't quite have that quote unquote universal appeal that they love to talk to us about. It's one of those things where it's like, color aside, just the acting in that movie. You can't tell me Meryl Streep is a better actress than Angela Bassett. You can't tell me that.
Well, Meryl Streep is up there, obviously, and Angela's up there. We can definitely have that discussion on who do you like more and what. I think they're both fine actresses. But I will say, Angela not getting it was a surprise to a lot of people because a lot of people thought she was going to get it. Jamie Lee winning it was the surprise. There were a lot of people who did not see that coming. So I think that's another reason that you saw Angela, or I should call her, I'm sorry, Miss Bassett, or not even Mrs. Bassett, Miss Bassett, reacted that way.
Why do you say Bassett? Why do you say it like that?
I don't know. Let's move on. Comedian August O'Neill gives a 3 hearts, 2 applauses. Fake Ass Book Club / Cat says Angela Bassett forever, absolutely. David James says, how you going to give out a participation Oscar? Absolutely. Like, how has Samuel L. Jackson never got one? I heard him interview recently, David, and he says it's not something that he thinks about. And same thing with Lawrence Fishburne, not something he concentrates on. I think the only people who still worry about this stuff, to be honest with you, are the non-black actors. I think the black actors have almost kind of gotten over it and almost don't expect it. I think it's us, the community, that get more upset about it than they do, unless you're Angela Bassett.
And it's one of those things where, you take the race out of it. Just the quality of actor that Samuel L. Jackson is, the quality of actor that Lawrence Fishburne is. You can't tell me that all these other guys are leaps and bounds ahead of them. It's just not. It's not the case.
Well, and David makes a good point here also, but she definitely earned that. I mean, John Travolta never even got one. I'm not sure what movie he might have done where he should have, but Oscar, here's where I do agree with him. He said, Oscar awards are wild, bro. I don't know. I think a lot of it is politics. And you listen to people talk about it behind the scenes, Dave, and a lot of it is politics. There's a lot of gifts given. There's a lot of stuff exchanging hands.
This is a perfect example of, if she's got the honorary, why doesn't she have the regular?
Absolutely.
If she's getting, if she's done all this stuff to support the Academy, you can't tell me that her performance on screen isn't Oscar worthy. So my question would be, when was Jamie Lee Curtis better? When?
I agree. I definitely agree.
And I like Jamie Lee Curtis.
And I too, but not over Angela. Savvy AF says they think they're doing something good by giving her an honorary Oscar. For people who are listening, I had some air quotes there for the word good from Savvy. Absolutely Savvy. And it says Savvy AF also says she's a real one, deserves a real one. And comedian August O'Neill says it's Bassett like the Hound. All right, August, I'll talk to you later about how you're trying to teach me.
Yeah, because you saying it weird.
It's been a fun show. I don't need to take this. What is your what the hell, sir?
My what the hell this week is what the hell is up with people not using their turn signals? Look, man, I've been driving a lot this past week and a half, and I am over you non-turn signal using motherfuckers, okay? There's a reason why they put them in the goddamn car. Use your motherfucking turn signal. Don't get in front of me, then drive slower, and then abruptly turn without fucking signaling. Defensive driving is nice, but getting the fuck out of my way driving is even better. So please, for the love of God, use your goddamn turn signals. They're the most safe way to let people know that you really can't motherfucking drive. Because the people I've been behind this past week and a half, bro, I've been super racist in my car. Let me tell you, that's the only time I'm super racist.
But don't say it now.
I'm telling you what, these people, use your goddamn turn signal.
David James says, I like the okie doke people with a left signal and then bust the right.
You dirty motherfucker.
My what the hell this week is, what's up with Costco needing to ID you at the self-checkout? Look here. The article just came out today, but I went to Costco last week to pick up a case of water to take up on vacation with me because we could have some water to Airbnb. Look, man, they're doing it because they have too many people coming in with other people's Costco cards and checking themselves out. So now they have a person standing there. I just flip my card over, show the picture on the back of the card. For people who don't know how Costco and Sam's Club works, they take a picture of you, they put it on the back of your card. Never before last week was I ever asked for this picture to be seen. And it's because you people out there who won't get your own membership, stop inconveniencing me with your cheap ass. If you want to come in and be a part of the club, pay your $60 like everybody. What the hell are you doing? What are you doing?
I'm playing the violin for you.
Son of a bitch. Stop inconveniencing me. I don't want to have to take that extra 5 seconds because you won't spend $60 for a year membership. How cheap are you?
That's a whole nother topic. We need to talk $60. I gotta spend $60 to come spend another $60 and shit. My membership should come with extra benefits, but whatever.
Extra benefits? Like what?
Extra benefit. Yeah. Why would you pay to go? That's like, say, it's not a club. It's a grocery store.
It's a club.
It's a fucking grocery store.
Club. It's a private club. You got to pay your dues like everybody else. Before we get out of here, I do want to make mention of something that I was very happy about, and it did not happen to me. Facebook's use says "you people" with a question mark.
That's slim.
Look, we always come on here. We try to talk about pro-black things as much as possible. We try to talk about things that deal with all types of people. We try to spotlight a lot of different things. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. So I didn't want to let this go past. TylerPerry, who you can say you enjoy or not enjoy the things he puts out, the art that he creates and puts out. You're going to be on one side of it or the other. But the man, as a black man, I'm very proud to see this man be able to buy BET and VH1 at the same damn time. And not do it on a 2-for-1 deal, not be out tricking the money away, This guy, when you look at his career, where he started from stage plays and went from that to the next level, he just takes it to another level every time. And for me, again, there's a sense of pride in it, but there's also a sense of, like I try to explain when Barack Obama was voted into office. If you grew up, as a 70s baby or before, or even an 80s baby, your black mother always told you can be anything you want, including President of the United States. And it's not till you become an adult and you really start to see the politics, you're like, I don't know if that's even possible, so I may have to just scratch that one off the list of things I would like to do. But when Barack Obama became President of the United States, I don't know when it'll ever happen again, but for black boys and girls going forward, you got to see when your mother tells you can do it, you have an example. And I don't care if you're black, I don't care what color you are. They can tell you can do, you can tell you can be. But if you don't have an example in front of you, very few people believe they can actually achieve it. And so to see TylerPerry be able to do what he's been able to do for his entire career, and to be able to do what he just did last week as a black man who was given nothing, is an amazing life and an amazing accomplishment. And that tells me and everyone coming behind him, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do in this business. You grind your ass off. You got to have some good luck along the way, of course, but you can fucking get there. And to him, I give all praise to that man for that, because he never stops pushing. He never stops setting the bar. He never stops showing examples of what can be accomplished if you just try. So kudos to that man.
Well said.
Thank you guys very much. We appreciate you for watching. We will be back again next week with an all new show. Please don't forget to click that subscribe button. And at work, if you end up talking about us, hey, tell them you got to join the group. Check out the show. Check out the podcast too. It's everywhere. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Deon?
Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and share button, and join our Patreon.
Absolutely. Be good.
Later.